If you're having trouble getting your charcoal grill as hot as you'd like, I have a few tips and tricks that'll get you cooking with fire. And the first one is pretty basic. This is a charcoal grill, the standard Weber kettle. And a lot of charcoal grills are going to have a similar design with vents on top and on bottom. Those are designed to control the airflow. Essentially, the more air you get, the hotter the fire will burn, and this allows you to adjust that airflow. Open up the vents, it allows more air to flow through, and you get more air to the fire for it to burn, and that raises the temperatures. And if you close down the vents, it slows down that airflow, it reduces it, and over time that'll cause the temperatures to drop. And then when you're done with cooking, if you close both the vents all the way, your fire is going to burn out and go out cold. If you want to make big changes to your temperature in your grill, you want to use the bottom vent for the most part. This has the most surface area, it allows the most air to flow through it. And so making changes here, even small adjustments, will make really big differences in the amount of air that gets into the kettle and then the temperature. And then if you want to fine tune it, that's what the top vent is really good for. Small adjustments there will make small adjustments in the temperature overall. As people hear that, they're going to want to know the exact vent settings that they need to have in order to be able to reach a certain temperature inside their kettle. As I'm going to show you in just a little bit, it depends. So for the sake of making the grill as hot as possible, you want to maximize the airflow, and that means that the top vent and the bottom vent both need to be fully open. And the biggest reason why your vent settings are going to need to change from day to day is because there are other conditions that can impact how you cook. Specifically, if it's really cold and snowy outside, you're going to need more heat in order to be able to reach the temperature than it would if it was sunny and in the summer. And the most important variable is the fire, the amount of charcoal that you put in the kettle. To illustrate that, I have two identical Weber kettles with the vents wide open. I set them up slightly different. With one of them, I took a full chimney of lump charcoal and I fully lit it and put it in the kettle. The other one, I took a full chimney of charcoal, poured half of it out, and I lit the other half. Both kettles had the same amount of charcoal to begin with. The only difference was the amount of charcoal that I lit when I got the fire going. And that fully lit chimney of charcoal spiked to 470 degrees Fahrenheit, whereas the half chimney of charcoal with the half of unlit charcoal peaked out at 375 degrees Fahrenheit, or a difference of about 100 degrees. And that's because the fire acts like an air pump inside of your barbecue. A bigger fire is going to pull more air through the vents than a smaller one would, and that makes it a critical step to make sure you have the right amount of charcoal lit whenever you're cooking. And to show that further, after about an hour or so, I took both kettles and I closed down the vents to half on both. And at that point, the charcoal that has only half lit, it was burning hotter than the one that was fully lit. Just because as it burned hotter, it burned up more of that charcoal. And as you would guess, the hotter kettle stayed hotter even though the vent settings were the same than the one that was starting to burn out and had a smaller fire at that point. And another interesting thing is the charcoal that was half lit held its temperature for longer than the one that was fully lit, which spiked and went away pretty quickly. If you're not able to get the amount of burn time that you're hoping for, if you take a little bit of the unlit charcoal, you can pile your lit charcoal on top, and that will slowly light throughout the cook, so that way you can maintain your temperatures. And if you appreciate me doing experiments to demonstrate these principles rather than just flapping my gums, hit the subscribe button to stay up on future tests. And if you're looking for high temperature searing, the biggest tip and technique is to make sure that that lit charcoal gets as close to the grill grate as possible. Even a distance of 1 or 2 inches will dramatically reduce the searing power that you get. And that may work really well for things like burgers or chicken that have a longer cook time. But if you want to get an amazing sear on your steak, the best way to do that is to get the charcoal as close to the grilling surface as possible. And that's a big reason why people like charcoal baskets or things like the SNS, because it helps to keep all the charcoal together so it doesn't spread out over the inside of your grill. That keeps that lit charcoal really high and really close to the grilling surface. It makes your life a lot easier. I've also seen people use a leaf blower to really stoke those flames, but that seems like a bad idea because you might blow out some of those embers and light your backyard on fire. What I like to use instead is an electric fire starter like this one from HomeRite. It has the ability to be able to light the charcoal by producing a lot of heat, but it beats out the Luft lighter with one specific feature, and that is you can turn it on to fan only mode, so that way you can stoke the coals after you've already had them lit. The Luft lighter that I used only had the ability to blow out heat and air at the same time, whereas this one can do fan only. But both of those options are better than trying to use your lady friend's hairdryer to stoke your grill. If you're trying to nail down how much charcoal to light to hit a given temperature in your grill, check out this video where I go over the basics of using a charcoal chimney. And if you're disappointed that I didn't talk about the differences between lump charcoal and briquettes, check out this video where I compare and contrast both to see which one burns hotter.